Excuse me. This is the operator. The conference is now being recorded. I will turn your call over to Ms. Linda Abbruzzese. Ma'am, you may proceed.
Yes, good morning and good evening for everybody joining us today. Thank you for joining us for this webinar on the opportunities in the India market. My name is Linda Abbruzzese, and I'm a Senior International Trade Specialist for the Global Knowledge Center at the Department of Commerce. This webinar is being brought to you in cooperation by the Global Knowledge Center for Global Markets and the Foreign Commercial Service in New Delhi, India. This webinar will talk about the different number of different sectors and room for growth in India, the investment climate after the election, of the new government in India that happened in May, and also the business opportunities in India. And with that, I'd like to turn over this presentation over to our main speaker, who is Mr. John McCaslin, the Senior Commercial Officer in New Delhi, India. John, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Linda. So I'll get right into it. I'm John McCaslin, the Senior Commercial Officer for the U.S. Commercial Service in India. India has a great deal to offer to U.S. companies. I hope that this presentation provides you with the information you need to take your first steps toward doing business successfully in this dynamic, growing market. Next slide. The U.S.-India bilateral trade and investment. India is the 13th largest export market for U.S. goods. Two-way merchandise trade stands at about $64 billion, led by civil aircraft, engines, equipment, and parts. U.S. goods exports to India in 2013 reached $22 billion. According to the U.S.-India Business Council, Indian investment in the United States in 2013 touched $11 billion, creating approximately 100,000 American jobs. India elected a new government on May 16th. For the first time in 30 years, a coalition is not ruling India. The new Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, who received an unprecedented electoral mandate, is known for his pro-industry policies. The government started on a positive note, placing emphasis on building investor confidence by focusing on improved governance and timeliness in policy implementation and major project approval. India's industrialized economy encompasses diverse manufacturing sectors, steel production, oil and gas refining, automotive, among others. The services sector, especially information technology, continues to be the major source of economic growth. Services account for more than half of India's gross domestic product. It is the second most populous country in the world with over 1.2 billion people. The International Monetary Fund reports that Indian per capita purchasing power parity will significantly increase from 4.7 to 6.1% of the world's share by 2015, further fueling consumption. India is a medium to long-term business opportunity that holds great potential for companies with the right products and services. Consumption fuels economic growth in this country. India's youthful population is contributing to India's consumption boom, and they are hungry for U.S. brands. McDonald's, Starbucks, Pizza Hut, KFC, and most recently Krispy Kreme all have successful businesses in India. Retail companies also continue to invest in India. Although the foreign direct investment policies in retail are restrictive towards companies such as Walmart, it recently increased its investment nearly twofold. The sheer market size makes its potential huge. I want to highlight a few sectors with promising opportunities for U.S. businesses in India. Infrastructure. Problems with the country's roads, railroads, ports, airports, education, power grid, and telecommunications are significant obstacles to India's economy achieving its full potential. India's ongoing urbanization, together with rising incomes, have resulted in a heightened need for improved infrastructure. India seeks to invest $1 trillion in its infrastructure during the 12th five-year plan, 2012 to 2017, and is looking for private sector participation to fund half of this massive expansion, largely through its homegrown public-private partnership model. U.S. companies have been successful in certain areas of India's infrastructure development, but competition from other countries is formidable. The U.S. industry's market share in India in this sector has been declining, but we believe that there are very good prospects for many U.S. firms to be successful in the infrastructure sector. Healthcare, from a current level of $77 billion, the healthcare market in India is predicted to reach $150 billion by 2017 and $250 billion by 2020. India's healthcare industry is on a robust growth curve with enormous potential for advanced equipment and technology upgrades. Almost 80% of medical devices and equipment are imported from the United States. The semi-urban rural healthcare sector in the country is seeing an upsurge. The majority of healthcare players are now expanding to Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, most of which have populations of over 1 million people. Civil aviation and defense. The Indian aerospace industry is one of the fastest growing aerospace markets in the world. All segments in the aerospace industry, including civil and military aviation and space, are showing significant growth. The United States government has initiated government-to-government and business-to-business programs such as the U.S.-India Aviation Cooperation Program to promote U.S. aviation standards, products, and technology. India is the second largest foreign military sales customer of the U.S. based on a large and growing defense relationship with the Indian Ministry of Defense. Since 1992, the U.S. Trade and Development Agency has supported over 100 priority development projects in India and helped to generate over $1.3 billion in U.S. exports in energy, aviation, and information and communication technology. Renewable energy. The United States continues to be one of the largest exporters of generation and transmission equipment to India. India ranks 5th in terms of generation capacity worldwide, with an installed capacity of 182 gigawatts, which is about 4% of global power generation. Both government and private sector firms generate electric power in India, with the government sector leading the effort. The existing electric power supply is still 30% less than the demand. India needs 270 gigawatts of installed capacity to be able to meet its peak electricity demand. The government of India has set ambitious goals of capacity addition of 75 gigawatts by 2017, of which 50% will be added by the private sector. India hopes to grow capacity by 9% annually. Since there is not enough coal to meet this demand, significant emphasis is given to alternate sources like renewable and nuclear power. The private sector opportunity in energy infrastructure during the next 5 years is estimated at $195 billion. Education. Experts estimate the Indian education market at about $28 billion. Higher education has been made a priority by the new government. By 2020, the government of India aims to increase enrollment in higher education to 30% of the total. Though 100% foreign direct investment is allowed in the education sector, the current legal structure in India does not allow foreign educational institutions to grant degrees. The Foreign Education Institutions Bill of 2010 is still pending in the Indian Parliament. However, the new government of India may open up this sector more. Tourism. India is today one of the fastest growing outbound travel markets in the world. While it is estimated that over 8 million Indians traveled abroad in 2013, spending $5.5 billion, the UN World Travel Organization expects India to account for 50 million outbound tourists by 2020. India's urban population is set to increase dramatically over the coming years. The emergence of a large middle class with disposable income and travel aspirations is giving a huge boost to outbound travel from India. Recognizing the tremendous potential in outbound travel from India, 30 national tourism organizations from around the world have set up local offices in India. Whether you are doing business in major metropolitan areas or Tier 2 cities, challenges abound for American firms in India. These include a formidable bureaucracy still struggling with a legacy of excessive red tape, a weak infrastructure, particularly a lack of available power and adequate roads. Corruption remains an impediment to growth and is still all too common for companies seeking to start operations in India. As an example, consider retail in India. Recently, the government of India allowed 100% foreign direct investment in this sector. However, the policy mandates a 30% local content requirement. The U.S. Commercial Service in India will help you manage the risks in this market. To overcome these challenges, we advise companies to always remember the 3 Ps. Planning. India is a complex, rapidly changing market, so prepare for all contingencies. Patience. Approach India for the long-term benefits. The complex nature of the business environment does not lend itself to short-term gains. Partner. Finding a good partner can help overcome many of the challenges. Work with our office to conduct due diligence on prospective partners and be wary of any partner that promises easy answers. The U.S. Commercial Service in India has a very large network at your disposal. I'm very proud to lead our 7 offices in India in the capital New Delhi, Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, and Bangalore. Our staff of American commercial officers and Indian commercial specialists can counsel your company about prospects for your product or service and help you develop and execute a realistic market entry strategy. We can help you find and qualify an agent, distributor, or end user through our Gold Key and International Company Profile services. We can help increase your presence in India through our single company promotions. We can advocate for your company with the Indian government as you bid on public tenders, and we can help address any market access or intellectual property rights issues that arise once you are in the market. In short, we are there for you and for your business success. I encourage you all to work with our export assistance centers in the United States to begin to explore opportunities for you and your company in India. As you can see from the slide, we have a variety of business successes to share with you, from finding local partners to advocacy for government tenders. We provide assistance to U.S. companies in many ways. Every year we help 400 to 500 U.S. companies enter or expand in the Indian market, and most of those are small and medium-sized enterprises. The sales value of the companies that we help enter or expand in the market is anywhere between $200 million a year up to $1 billion a year. Let me share with you the success story of a small firm active in the oil and gas sector, Prevco Subsea LLC, a manufacturer of subsea housing accessories such as pressure release valves, dual seal vent plugs, oil-filled compensators, camera windows, internal and external brackets. Our office in Chennai in southern India counseled the company on the complicated process typically involved in government tenders and helped them identify and evaluate local expertise. As a result, Prevco and their local partner submitted the winning bid. Another company, T.D. Williamson, the world's most recognized name in pipeline equipment and services, was disqualified from participating in several tenders issued by the government of India. Our office in New Delhi, in the span of 18 months, convinced the Ministry of Petroleum and Natural Gas to revise the tender parameters and enable TDW's participation in the bidding process. We also argued for fairness and transparency in the tender process. TDW won a $6 million emergency response and operational readiness equipment package for India's largest 48-inch diameter natural gas pipeline. There are many ways for you to meet prospective Indian partners. My staff accompanies delegations of Indian buyers almost monthly to the United States. You can see on the slide a list of our international buyer program shows coming up in 2014 and 2015 all over the United States in major sectors where you'll be able to meet qualified Indian companies and get help from our staff on the ground at the show. Likewise, I encourage you to join one of our planned missions to India in 2015. Priority sectors for the country are listed here. I anticipate an active year ahead. There are also a wide variety of India-based trade events we will support. A key one is the India-U.S. Technology Summit, November 17 to 19 in New Delhi this year, where the U.S. is the partner country with the Indian government and Indian business. So a distinguished American economist, Thomas Friedman, speaking at Davos this year, compared the Indian economy to a superhighway. It may be a bit different from the highways we are used to in the United States. Some white lines may be missing, a holy cow or holy elephant may cross the road, or a camel cart will force you to slow down. But it is a modern highway nevertheless. We are optimistic about the medium and long-term prospects for U.S. companies in India, and when you succeed, everyone in the village will show up to cheer for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John, and that concludes our webinar on the opportunities in the Indian market.
That does conclude today's conference call. We thank you all for participating. You may now disconnect and have a great rest of your day.